Just because she's no longer in your life doesn't mean she's forgotten you. Just because she doesn't mention your name, or you're blocked on every app, doesn't mean you're gone from her mind. That's what most men don't realize. Women don't always grieve loudly. They don't always cry in front of the world or pour their hearts out on social media. Some heartbreaks happen in silence, behind calm eyes and polite smiles. And the deeper you touched her, the quieter her reaction will be when you leave. It's not about what she says after you're gone, it's about what she can't say. There's a kind of sadness so deep, it doesn't come out as words. It lingers in silence, in moments where she finds herself thinking of you without meaning to. She may seem like she's moved on, like she's okay, but that silence, that distance, it often holds more truth than any outburst ever could. It's not always closure, sometimes it's confusion. Sometimes pain she doesn't know how to explain. Women carry memories differently. They don't always express what they feel, but they carry it. Quietly, privately, and if you made her feel safe, if your presence brought her peace, she remembers that whether she talks about it or not. You may be absent from her life, but not from her thoughts. Because presence isn't measured by proximity, it's measured by impact. And when a man becomes part of her emotional world, when his energy shaped her days, his absence creates a silence that echoes. So don't assume her silence means she's cold or detached. Sometimes silence is survival, sometimes it's grief, without language, and sometimes it's the loudest reminder that you were more unforgettable than she ever let on. There are parts of her life where your presence still lingers, not because she wants it that way, but because routines, remember, what hearts try to forget, you were part of her rhythm. Whether it was the way she woke up to your texts, or how certain songs became background music to your time together, your energy settled into her daily life. Now that you're gone, it's not just the big moments, she notices it's the subtle ones, silence in the spaces where you used to exist. She might walk past your favorite coffee shop and instinctively glance inside. A random playlist might trigger a memory she thought she buried, and it's not because she's trying to hold on, it's because emotional connection embeds itself into the ordinary. You weren't just someone she loved. You became part of how her life felt, and that feeling doesn't vanish the moment you leave. It fades slowly, quietly, leaving behind emotional echoes she doesn't always know how to name. She probably doesn't talk about it. She likely pretends it doesn't matter, but it shows up in her stillness, in the way she hesitates before doing something that once included you. Because the nervous system remembers. Habits form faster than we expect, and when they're tied to love, they linger longer than anyone likes to admit. So, even if she's smiling, posting, or dating someone new, don't mistake that for detachment. She's not just moving on. She's learning how to live without a part of her routine that once felt like home. Your absence isn't just a gap, it's a disruption. And every day, in small, quiet ways, she feels it. Not because she's weak, but because you mattered. And things that matter don't disappear without leaving something behind. She might look fine on the outside, smiling in photos, hanging out with friends, maybe even dating again. But what you don't see is what happens when everything quiets down. Late at night, when no one's around and her phone isn't lighting up with distractions, that's when the real thoughts come. That's when the doubt begins to whisper. Why wasn't I enough for him? Even if she was the one who walked away, that question doesn't spare her. Women often carry heartbreak differently. They don't always show it or talk about it, but they feel it deeply. And when a connection meant something real to her, your absence isn't just a space, it's a weight. She starts to think back over every word, every argument, every silence between the two of you. She replays what she could have done differently, the signs she missed, the moments she wishes she handled better. Not because she regrets leaving, but because she's trying to understand what went wrong. She doesn't broadcast this vulnerability to the world. Pride keeps her lips sealed, even to those closest to her. But inside, there's a quiet storm of self-blame and reflection. She's not always mad at you sometimes. She's mad at herself for not being able to make it work, for not holding on to something that once felt so real. And that internal battle leaves marks no one else sees. Your silence doesn't just feel like distance to her, it feels like rejection. Even if you didn't mean it that way, even if you were just protecting your peace, she still feels the sting. Because when a woman gives herself emotionally, the absence of that emotional return doesn't just fade, it lingers. And no matter how strong she seems, a part of her still quietly wonders if she just wasn't enough. You probably don't remember every little thing you did, but she does. Not just the big gestures or the milestone moments, but the quiet ones. The subtle glances, the tone of your voice when you said her name, the way you instinctively reached for her hand in a crowded place. To you, those things might have seemed insignificant. But to her, they were everything. Women don't just remember what happened, they remember how it made them feel. And the feelings you gave her in those small, passing moments are what echo the loudest after you're gone. She remembers how you looked at her when she talked about something she was passionate about. The way you smiled when she laughed without realizing it. The night you stayed up just to listen when her world was falling apart. The way you touched her hair gently or wrapped your arms around her in silence when words didn't help. Those weren't random acts, they were emotional anchors. Moments that made her feel safe, seen, and loved without needing explanation. Even now, those memories show up when she least expects them. She might be folding laundry, driving in silence, or watching something that reminds her of a time when she felt understood. And suddenly, you're there again, not physically, but emotionally. Not in the room, but in her mind. It's not about holding on to the past. It's about the reality that certain moments carve themselves into our emotional memory. And the smaller the moment, the deeper it sometimes cuts. You didn't just leave with your presence, you left behind a trail of reminders. She may never speak of them, may never show signs of missing you, but inside her, those quiet memories still play because to her, they weren't small at all. They were the moments that made her feel most alive. Your energy didn't leave when you walked away, it stayed behind in ways you probably never imagined. Not in the obvious places, but in the quiet, unnoticed corners of her life. The couch you used to sit on together, the blanket you once shared, the scent of your cologne still lingering on an old hoodie she never got rid of. Energy is like that, it doesn't vanish, it imprints. And when someone touches your soul deeply, their absence fills a room louder than their presence ever did. She feels it in the moments she can't explain. Sitting in silence, wondering why a wave of emotion hits her for no clear reason. She tries to reset the vibe, rearranges furniture, lights, new candles, changes her music, but nothing truly works, because what she's feeling isn't in the room, it's in her. You left behind a frequency, a calm presence, a kind of emotional gravity that doesn't just turn off. It lingers, not because she's clinging to you, but because love, once rooted deeply, doesn't let go easily. She may pretend it's all fine, put on a brave face, and fill her days with noise, people, and tasks. But underneath it all, she notices, she sits in the places you once sat, scrolls through pictures she claims she deleted, hears a line in a movie, and suddenly remembers a time you both laughed. She might not cry, she might not reach out, but the weight is still there. Because emotional energy isn't something we can always control. It finds us in quiet moments and unspoken memories. You didn't just walk away from her life, you became a presence that her space still responds to. And even if she never says it out loud, she feels it. Because when love was real, silence doesn't erase, it just deepens it.